All right, Awesemo, here we go. A little bit early for NFL Live Before Lock. No, don't panic. Kickoff is at 6:40 tonight, but we are going early so we can accommodate the NBA show. So we will be ending promptly at 5:55 tonight on the East Coast, so we can bring in, I think it's Josh and Eric Lindquist. Kyle, how you doing? How did last night go for you?
What game was last night?
Buffalo. Oh, was it me and Terry? Oh, me and Terry did
Oh,
the show. Buffalo and it went
no,
horribly for me.
no, not a good game. Not a good game. Luckily for the weekend slate, which is where most of the money was, I have a lot of Josh Allen, or not a lot of Josh. Well, I have a lot of Josh Allen too. I have a lot of Patrick Mahomes going. I basically went all Patrick Mahomes, all Josh Allen. Half of my lineups advanced to Sunday, I guess, is how you take that. And they're doing well enough right now. So didn't play a ton of Showdown. Those didn't go particularly well. Devin Singletary seeing almost all of the work was exactly what I planned for. I didn't expect that to be 4 carries. So I don't know. Not the best night, but I'm still live today. So that's good, I guess.
Yeah, that's the key. Well, fortunately, I did just enough to survive on Showdown. I lost literally every head-to-head I put out there for you, the chat, which, hey, if we get a bunch of likes today, I'll put out some more. That was easy money for you guys. I had scored 37 points, and Patrick Ricard was not my lowest scoring player in the lineup. It was the 0 from Cole Beasley. So, yeah, it was one heck of a night. One heck of a night. But we've got a lot to talk about here. We've got No House Advantage as the sponsor. We do have the NBA show after us, and we are just starting to see a few people trickle in here on this. I don't think we sent out a tweet. No bueno. Let me double check here. All right. So for the, look at that, 30 people here. 9 likes. It's a great ratio. Let's keep that up for the full show. That'll be a lot of fun. Let me pop out. Oh, perfect. Let me pop out the chat here, and let's look at things. We don't have inactives yet, I don't believe, do we?
Nope. We will get them at 35, 5:35.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's as we're collecting some people here, I wanted to just say we appreciate everybody watching these shows. We appreciate you guys with the likes and the subscribes. We are almost at 50,000 here. It's very exciting to get to 50,000, and we will be doing some nice giveaways when we get there. So if you haven't signed up yet, please do. It definitely helps us out in the YouTube algorithm and other areas. For tonight, first question that we have, and it's a good one to start off with. Does Ty Montgomery take on the Latavius Murray role if both Latavius Murray and Taysom Hill are ruled out? Well, I am expecting both Taysom Hill and Latavius Murray to not play tonight. However, I don't think that's going to make Ty Montgomery very viable as a play. We sort of saw this already. As long as Alvin Kamara is around, he's going to be on the field most of the time. We can see the Saints do some empty backfield stuff. I think the Taysom Hill being out may help Jared Cook a little bit, just because it's one, or anybody in the red zone for that matter, because it's one. They're not going to give two attempts to Taysom in that situation if he's not playing. But those injuries to me elevate Alvin Kamara along with Michael Thomas as the 2 best plays on both sides tonight. Tre'Quan Smith is the other guy that is kind of the variable. He is coming back. We don't know exactly what his workload is going to be. I'm sort of mediocre with him on FanDuel, but he's 400 or 500 on DraftKings. So he makes a lot of things viable, especially if if we're just hoping for 3 or 4 targets. What stands out as your general overview before we dive into all of this? The nitty gritty. What is your high level stuff? All Saints all the time?
Yeah, especially with the news more than anything, given that at least right now we don't know the status of Ronald Jones. It seems like he'll play and not start was kind of the sentiment earlier. If I have that right, by Bruce Arians, he said it was Leonard Fournette's best game of the year last week. So not sure how much we can project, even if he is healthy. But on the Saints side, we did get, I believe it was Rap Sheet tweeted out that we don't expect to have Taysom Hill, Latavius Murray. That is just so much red zone work and touchdown equity that likely funnels its way to Alvin Kamara, but is just spread across players we actually wanted to play, especially with Taysom Hill. Like, unless he scored 2 touchdowns, he was basically unplayable because DraftKings has to price him as a backup quarterback. but on most weeks, he doesn't play a backup quarterback role. He plays a wildcat receiver, running back, the Taysom Hill role, essentially, which isn't worth paying his price for. Even if he scores, it doesn't guarantee that he gets in the optimal lineup. Now all of his work funnels to Alvin Kamara in the red zone, plus maybe more passing equity for the offense in the red zone. So I agree, it's very positive for Alvin Kamara, but still should trickle itself at least a little bit to a few percentage points in the favor of mostly Michael Thomas, just because when you're looking at the rest of the offense, it's kind of a crapshoot. So it's hard to say where it would go. Whereas Michael Thomas is the other half of the offense, outside of just Drew Brees passing the ball.
All right, let's get to the good stuff here. We've got some people trickling in now that we got those social media beacons flagging people down. So the interesting thing about this one for me is this will be the third time these teams have played this season. And it was two of Tom Brady's worst games. I think he had 5 combined interceptions, yet in 2 of Drew Brees' better games. I don't want to say best. Brees had 4 touchdowns and 2 touchdowns, but he had like 402 total yards. So Drew Brees, this very well could be his last. Any game through the end of the season very well could be his last one. I don't think he's going to be coming back next year. 2 major injuries each of the last 2 years. Clearly the arm strength and accuracy of downfield throws just aren't there. And he just turned 42 on Friday. So it's, hat tip to him. 15 years in New Orleans, 5 years prior to that in San Diego. That's 20 years of football. That's just impressive in and of itself. He and Brady kind of are 1 and 2 in most of the career milestone stats, which is no surprise because they've both been playing for 20 years. But I think this might be it for him. So talking about Tom Brady here, let me see. Did you know it has been 22 games counting the regular and the postseason since the Saints have allowed an opposing quarterback to top 300 yards?
It's 22 games.
22 games.
That's incredible. I mean, maybe it's because they get to like you said, Drew Brees lit them up, but he just didn't happen to hit crazy milestones. It was just touchdowns. It was efficiency.
No, the other way. So we're talking for Brady. So the Saints defense.
Oh, Saints defense. Yeah. Have they not played any good teams? I mean, I get it. Their defense is good, but also if they had played a really good team, you would think that they would, maybe I'm not getting enough credit to their defense. I still have high hopes for Tom Brady because most of what I find to be useful is offense just dictate the outcome of games. It's not great. I'd rather him play a bad defense, all things considered. That's really 22 games is a long streak, man.
Yeah, it was. So this entire season, I think it was week 15 of last year or something like that. So, so this in the Saints, it shouldn't be a surprise. They basically are the number 2 or number 3 defensive DVOA. So they've really come on. This isn't the Coors Field of the NFL anymore. They're a good defense in the unique way when they play, and they've pointed this out in a lot of the telecasts, and I kind of found it fascinating, is they have those 2. It's like they're almost playing a Tampa 2, but they're daring the other teams to run on them or go deep. It's like they crowd the middle of the field and it's a bend, don't break type scenario. So I found that interesting. So Tom Brady, of course, this is indoors, which is helpful for him, helpful for any player, but we don't have to worry about the elements. You've got, it's an okay matchup for him because I think the Saints defense counters the fact that he has 4 really good offensive receivers. If you're looking to Mr. Tom Brady, how many of his receivers do you want to play with them? And which receivers do you want to play?
I think you probably have to play 2 pass catchers. You can lump in, apparently you can lump in Cameron Brate. I wouldn't have been able to tell you that before last week, but you can lump in the tight ends as just pass catchers. So you can lump in 2 tight ends, 3 receivers. I mean, you can honestly even throw Scotty Miller in there. I know he's probably a 2-target player, but in large,
he has 500 yards on the season.
I don't think a lot of that has come in recent games, but I'm not, I don't have his game log pulled up.
Pre-Antonio Brown.
Yeah, a lot of that probably came. I mean, not only pre-Antonio Brown, but pre-healthy Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Both of those dudes were just trading off injuries, and Scotty Miller was showing up as the number 2 receiver every third week. Not the case anymore, but I think in large field tournaments, you can still just lump him in as, even a few weeks ago, he caught one of his 2 targets and happened to be a 47-yard touchdown. that's a showdown winning play there. Like if that game was on an island, I don't think it was. Maybe. I don't know. You can even find showdown contests for the random 1:00 games. Whatever game that was, whatever showdown contest that was, I can almost guarantee you he was in the winning lineup. And he probably wasn't owned by nearly anyone because he's the fourth receiver who at this point we can project to hardly see the field. I would say you just need simply 2 of the pass catchers at a minimum. I can even see you going 3. It's probably not the 3 expensive Bucs. It's probably something a little weird like a Scotty Miller or a Cameron Brate, maybe even a Gronk with 2 expensive pass catchers. It's just difficult to see all of them pay off their prices at, 3 of them basically all have to either score a touchdown or go for 100 yards. And maybe even that's not enough. So probably at most 2 and a cheap pass catcher, but also at a minimum, probably 2. So it's really, do you add in the third cheap guy?
Right. And that's where, so DraftKings is giving us kind of, someone was asking is stake Traquan Smith the free square? Yeah, he pretty much is. And that allows us to go heavy on the other positions. On FanDuel, it's a little more interesting of the construction, but we'll talk a little bit about FanDuel as we maneuver on there. So those are kind of the key things here. So we do have that Taysom Hill and Latavius Murray will be inactive. We do know that Ronald Jones is active. Those tweets just came across. I haven't seen an official. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know where people are getting all their stuff, but
it's got to be like Schefter.
There we go. 47 seconds ago. So these are the Saints inactives: Taysom Hill, Patrick Robinson, Latavius Murray, Jawan Johnson, Malcolm Roach, Ken Crawley, and Derek Kelly. The Bucs inactives are. Oh, Keyshawn Vaughn is inactive. That's a little bit of a surprise. Okay,
so that means they brought LaShawn McCoy.
Yes, LaShawn McCoy is not on the inactive list. Okay. Justin Watson, Anthony Auclair, Earl Watford, Ryan Griffin, Jeremiah Ledbetter, and Javon Hagan. The last 2 are defensive players there. Okay, so just double checking. Okay, yeah. So that is as expected. A little bit there for Keyshawn Vaughn. I was kind of looking at him as sort of a potential cheapy differentiator. Only if we were to think that Ronald Jones is perhaps not only injured but in the doghouse for this one, and it's kind of interesting. So we do not, at least on the two game slate today, Ronald Jones was like less than 5% projected. I'm just going to call up and see what we have for him on the Showdown slate, because as somebody was Melissa who kicked my ass yet again last night in the head-to-heads, was asking, is it okay to fade Ronald Jones even in a 20 max? I don't know if it's fading him if nobody's playing him.
Correct. Yeah.
And
I don't have a strong opinion on it if that's good or not. I truly don't know. But that's like, I would say to like I'm not going out and fading LaShawn McCoy tonight. No one's playing him. Right. I wouldn't call it a fade, at least. It's, I guess, just my like terminology qualm with that.
Right. And Melissa very, very smart. So this is not a knock on that at all. Okay. So we have him. Okay. So we have him in the Showdown projected at 17% in the flex spot, it looks like.
Yeah, I have that too.
Okay, so that, and then he is, it's 17 combined, I think. Sorry. Sorry, that's the flex. Why can't I find, there he is. So
yeah, I have him 17. I have it in
0. That's why I can't, if I had it sorted. We have him for 0 in the captain, 17% overall. Sense.
I'm surprised we don't have any, like he's not going unowned in the flex. Like 17% is not nothing. It's not a lot by any means, especially on a slate where there are now like 3 real running backs. Like you wouldn't even consider like Ty Montgomery and Dwayne Washington anything other than if they get 4 points, they may open up other options. Whereas like Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette are real running back options. We don't have the ownership difference between him and Leonard Fournette, who is 200 cheaper. That's what, 8.5, almost 9%. I don't think that's that much. Like, I still think, I don't know, to me, if they're going to be that similar ownership projection, I would rather take the one who we know is going to be, at least according to Bruce Arians, the starter, and is not coming off a week where we were unsure if he was going to play. But I don't know, maybe that's just being too risk averse. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I don't know. It makes my head hurt because it's been a mess. My camera got all screwed up. Sorry, Jordan. I'm gonna have to see if I'm framed okay again. Well, it's the cord is oops. We'll just call that an oops moment. The interesting thing on this is I don't know what to do, and it's making my head hurt. You start to say, this is the old Princess Bride. I can't drink the glass in front of you because, yada, yada, yada. It's like, okay, I want to play Fournette, but we've seen him get the rug pulled out from under him multiple times this season. We've seen Jones get the rug pulled out from him multiple times this season. That's where I was kind of like, secret option C, Keyshawn Vaughn. But for me, I don't really feel the same about McCoy that I do Vaughn.
No, we haven't seen like any LaShawn McCoy all season. It's been anyone but him, essentially. I think they're more likely to, if say Ronald Jones like comes out to be mostly an emergency back and Leonard Fournette fumbles a pass, like fumbles a carry and drops a pass, they're more likely to just stop running the football than they are to go to LaShawn McCoy, frankly.
Maybe this is a better way of saying it. Do you foresee less than 50 passing attempts for Tom Brady in this game?
I mean, I guess median, I would take less than 50.
I'm sorry, 40.
40. That's probably right on the money. I'd probably put it at I guess I'd take the under and probably put him 38 or 39. But yeah, I mean, that's a crazy amount to be like your median projection. Like that would probably be top 3 in the NFL if that was your average. So that's a crazy number. I would take the under just trying to win this hypothetical bet. But no, you've got to put them close to 40, and their running backs probably, I mean, unless they really come out 12, and just dominate. Yeah, I was going to say they max out at 15.
15?
Yeah.
Okay. So and then when we start looking at the receiving back, that's been the whole issue with Fournette, is he has not been good in that capacity. So you've got one running back that your coach really not a fan of, and then you got one running back that, they brought him in, but he already got cut from another team because he really can't catch, and that's now your pass catching back. It doesn't feel right. So for me, I will probably have very little of any of them. If they end up scoring the touchdowns, so be it. These things happen. So that's more kind of where I'm landing on that one. Now, looking at and breaking it down a little further here when it comes to, let me get back to my notes here. When it comes to the wide receivers, my preference is I have Godwin and Antonio Brown basically the same. I just kind of have them as a coin flip. Do you buy into, and this is one of like the 3 I kind of actually do you buy into Marshawn Lattimore at least shutting down, being in Mike Evans' head, whatever it might be? In the last 4 times they have met in the regular season, Evans has 21 targets, 9 catches, 135 yards, and a touchdown.
It's not great.
That's not good.
That's like a normal Evans 1 game stat line, honestly.
Kind of. Maybe on 12 targets, but not 21. But yeah,
I guess the targets. Yeah, the targets.
that just it kind of stands out. And those guys have chirped back and forth on Twitter. It's clearly a thing where they don't like. And I was like, did they play against each other? Why? How did this start? But Lattimore's only been in the league 4 years, so he's done pretty well in his time against Mike Evans. Now, maybe we use that as a tiebreaker because it's not like, well, I'm not going to play him because of this. I can't tell you for any certainty which of the 5 viable receiving options is most likely to score. Let's put Gronk in there. We'll keep Braid in there as well, because Brady's just going to take whatever the defense gives him. And then you got the 3 receivers. I mean, I don't know what to do.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just like not buying the narrative enough, but I still think given what we know about their target shares, their air yard share, Mike Evans was clearly the number 1 receiver. It's like a 28% air yard share, 22% target share, somewhere in that ballpark from week 9 when Brown joined the team to week 16, because he didn't really play much in week 17. So I don't think it's useful to use that. So I think what we should reasonably project is Mike Evans to still be maybe not the focal point, maybe that's going a little bit too far, but the leader in terms of just the overall volume in any single game. Now, does he draw the most difficult matchup? It seems like that would be the case, and it's one that he rarely has succeeded at. But I tend to think that in the long run, volume will win out, and especially because I think he's more likely to score the touchdowns than any of these other guys by a pretty significant margin, just based on the fact that it was the game where he went 2 catches for, I believe, 2 yards, and both of them were 1-yard touchdowns. Yeah. They use him like a goal line back. It's the way we see Devontae Adams get used, where if you match up Devontae Adams with even Jalen Ramsey or someone, incredible. Just you throw that pass a few times on the goal line and you're probably pretty likely to get in. And that's how they've used Evans. So I think he has the touchdown upside. He's got the air yards upside, like just the big splash play potential. Hopefully he comes in at lowered ownership because of the difficult cornerback matchup. I kind of think that happened on the main slate with Devontae Adams versus Ramsey. Maybe we get that again here. I think that's an edge worth maybe exploiting. I buy volume. I buy volume when it comes in the end zone, when it comes deep downfield. Cornerback matchup be damned. And if that burns me on this slate, which it very well could, it probably just isn't going to be a good game for me.
Yeah, right. And those are, again, we're just kind of, we've had so many shows already talking about this game. There's not much left really to break down for all this. So we're really just down to kind of theory and building lineups and such for tonight's game. On that one, I was just pulling up the targets here. So this is just through the regular season. In the last 3 games, Fournette got 5, 3, and 2 targets. He has 47 on the season. Ronald Jones has 42. They each missed 3 games. So that's not a lot of volume going to. That's about 6 or 7 to the position each game. So not a ton there. And we know that Tampa Bay has the proclivity to abandon the run as well, rather than establish it. All right, we kind of hinted at the tight ends. I don't mind Brait as a pivot away from Gronk just for the salary savings. I think this doesn't mean I don't like Gronk, but when you can get Brait at half to a third of the price, you've got to at least consider that. I would expect Brait kind of it to be in the 2 to 4 target range. So nothing overly sexy. I would expect Gronk to be in the 2 to 4 target range. Nothing crazy on there. Gronk probably has a little bit more red zone upside, or familiarity with Brady. I don't know how you want to parse that out, but the discount plus, wait for it, he's still competing with the other 4 guys, which we're going to say about any of those 5 guys for touchdowns. So I'm ambivalent to getting to either one of them.
Yeah, ambivalent is probably a good way to describe it. If they're in my lineups, I'll certainly run them. The indicators for Gronk they were very Mike Evans-esque. He moved farther downfield than most tight ends. He got a lot of red zone work, even like that end zone goal line style work. And last week it just disappeared. But I don't think he ran like an incredibly low amount of routes or anything. It just, I don't know, just a random matchup thing. Football is a hard to predict game. That's why there's still an edge, is because sometimes Jack Doyle just shows up and breaks the wild card round. Sometimes Cameron Brate goes out and has a good game. We didn't see an incredible decline from Gronk last week in terms of the routes he ran. Bruce Arians didn't come out and say like, hey man, he's just done. We can't be having him catch passes anymore. I think our best bet is to say it was likely a blip on the radar. Now, he's still not like an incredibly great price or anything. That's just my reason for not ruling him out. If I actually thought Brate was going to take over as the pass catcher, I would say whatever percentage of people playing Gronk can have him, I'm going to completely fade him. I don't think that's the case. So I'll have both in my player pool. I don't think people are going to gravitate towards Brate after one good but not crazy good game. I still think they're all, maybe Brate is like a good value play. I don't think Gronk's like the best value play. I'd rather try and find my way to get up to the actual wide receivers. So I'm probably not going to have a ton of him, but I don't think he's like a bad play anything. I was on him last week, so I can't think he's that bad of a play.
Yeah. And he's had his moments. So is it a little thin? Yeah, but not for the reasons that he's a bad player or anything. He's just a lot of competition. Hopefully that gets balanced out by, Brady approaching 45, 50 passes. 1 pass for every year he's been on this earth. Want to talk a little bit about No House Advantage. They're the sponsor of the show. It's a peer-to-peer format game, which, wait for it, is just like we play everywhere else. Means you're going against other gamers, not the house. It's prop wagering with a fantasy twist. So they'll put up between 20 and 40 questions. You choose between 5 and 7 of them. The format kind of depends on if it's a single game, if it's a multi-game, it's a full slate, however it is. So there's a little variable there. But you choose usually at least 5 of the questions that you have. Rank them with confidence if you feel that they are going to be above or below whatever the prop line is, and then you win those confidence points. That calculates your score, and that's how you do against other gamers. They have the head-to-heads, 50-50s, GPPs, etc. I'm going to drop their link into chat for the link from Awesemo for you guys. We have their projections for free. So if you sign up, use the promo code Awesemo. They will match up to your first $20. And if you refer a friend when they make a cash deposit, you will get another $5. So that's No House Advantage. They have an app available in most of the app stores, as well as their website. So definitely want to check that out. So we got Corey here, Corey Da Silva dropping in at a 10 spot. Sawbuck? Is that $10? I forget these days. We've got, 20s are gammons now, right? They look like Peter Gammons, the revised version.
I don't understand this reference.
I was trying to think of, 5 is a Finsky, right?
Where are all these things coming from? I don't know any of these references.
Do you even have paper money, Kyle? There's my better question.
I have some. I have some paper money for my grandma for Christmas.
Okay, I will go on another track then, because clearly, I was thinking about that. We don't use paper money anymore.
No, I just pay people in Bitcoin.
That is true. Ethereum, baby. Is that one of them? I don't know.
Ethereum is one of them.
Okay.
One of them,
Yeah, one of those cryptocurrencies. All right. Back to the fun here. So reining myself back in on the defensive side. So both defenses are reasonably priced. They're both kind of mirror images of each other, and their quarterbacks they're going against are pretty solid at limiting turnovers and sacks, but not infallible, because we saw Brady in the 2 matchups gave up 5 of his season. I think like 11 interceptions or whatever it is on season. Half of them came to the Saints. How does that happen? So I would set the over under of sacks plus turnovers for each side at 3.5. And I don't feel overly strongly one way or the other. But I can envision...
I think like a modest over there.
I can envision both quarterbacks. If I close my eyes, I can envision a wobbly pass out to a flat being returned the other way by either defense. So just throwing that out there for that one. I see in chat they're saying Patrick Mahomes is out with a concussion.
Yeah, I just pulled up the box score and I saw Chad Henne in the lineup.
No bueno.
That sucks.
No bueno. Yeah, Henne is in there 1 for 2 right now. Man, that's a bummer. Okay.
God, that actually really kills me.
I had like 75%. So
yeah.
So here's an interesting thing. If you have this, there's really not much you can do to pivot away from it at this point. Like coming in today from the 4-game slate, you could do a lot of maneuvering. But now that there's just 1 game left, the chips are kind of where they are at this point. So bummer. All right, let's see here. Looking at a more in-depth view of our friends on Drew Brees, birthday boy. Again, he turned 42 Friday. Let's see. He had 6 touchdowns in the previous 2 meetings this season, just 402 yards. Yikes. Kamara's going to benefit with Brees under center. We know that. However, he was disappointing, Kamara that was, in these matchups. He did have 3 touchdowns, Kyle, but he had just 56 rushing yards and 60 receiving yards through 2 games. This is a guy who had 6 touchdowns in 1 game.
Yeah, it's not the best lines. I know Bucs run defense is supposedly really good. I mean, I buy that they are good. I'm just saying Alvin Kamara is also very good. So yeah. I think, especially with the fact that we have no real touchdown vultures for him, I don't know, matchup, prior history this season, they can all go kick rocks. I'm still playing Alvin Kamara. So
to answer Corey Da Silva's question, Kamara is the captain. If you want the direct pivot away from him, it is going to be Michael Thomas, in my opinion. How do you feel about that? Because you like to look at a lot of the theory and the math behind some of these things.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. I do think maybe the better pivots, I'm not sure how it would like correlate in a game script sense, but I think maybe the best pivots are just the Bucs passing game options, because we have really low in terms of like the overall options you have on this slate. We have really low ownership on all of them. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, all lumped in at 5.5 to 8%, whereas we're going to have probably 1 out of every 5 lineups feature Kamara. And even then, you get a 8% discount to go down from Mike Thomas to Antonio Brown. I think it just depends on your contest size. If you're maybe playing in, a 5,000 or 1,000 man tournament and you just want to make a small pivot, Thomas is a really good play in his own right. I think given maybe not his production in the middle or in the season, the regular season that he played in, but his market share numbers kind of tell me he's still just Michael Thomas. And then he came back last week, looked fine, scored a touchdown. It wasn't anything special. I think we can just say he's still Michael Thomas. There's really no reason to doubt that. I think he's a mid-sized tournament pivot off of Kamara. Not that you can't play Kamara in those tournaments, just if you're looking to get like a one easy leverage point, it would be just play chalky-ish and then play Michael Thomas instead of Alvin Kamara at captain. I think if you're in like the large field tournaments, it makes a ton of sense. Like in a contest, like whatever, play action they're running, just get a lot of exposure to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, because although they're far less predictable, there's a decent chance one of them does go out and post like a top 2 score on the slate. And then that gives you a lot of freedom in terms of salary and like ownership to just do whatever you want in the rest of the spot. So I think Michael Thomas is like the number 1 pivot. Then pick whoever you want out of the Tampa Bay guys, but they are like the collective number 2 pivot.
All right. The 76ers game has been postponed if you guys are playing basketball. So we now have a 3-game slate starting, and the show will be starting at 6 o'clock on this very channel. We will be getting out of here at 5:55. The other thing that you want to do is you want to check the pin tweet on the Awesemo_COM account. That's Awesemo_com. I'm dropping the link into chat. But if you get the answer correct of who will have more passing yards, Tom Brady or Drew Brees tonight, one lucky random drawer from those who get the correct answer will win a full month of Awesemo Plus. That is a very nice value. You want to check that out. Go to that link that I just dropped in there. And you should already be following the account because we're doing giveaways almost every day. So check that out. All right, looking on our next one here. You should also follow Awesemo NBA and frankly, Awesemo NFL. But Awesemo NBA, we're ramping that up. We've got the news god who is taking over. It's a Twitter takeover. So that is El Negro Loco, the news god. You can follow, he's running that account now. You can follow him also at News God DFS. That's News God with a Z. And definitely check that out as well. We're getting some nice breaking news updates and other features there. And then my favorite feature that we have is actually in the premium Slack. It's the NHL breaking news because that doesn't exist anywhere out there on Twitter. And that is a huge advantage you have by watching or by subscribing to Awesemo. Let's see here. So we've espoused our love for Kamara. We've talked a little bit about Drew Brees. So let's talk Drew Brees just real quick. Touchdowns will be there. The underlying yardage, not particularly. We haven't seen this a year, Drew Brees, not even close anymore. But he'll keep the chains moving. But if I set the over-under I'm going to set it 253.5. Let's see what it is at Odds Shopper. What would you say? The passing.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I maybe would take the over. I don't know. That feels like almost a really that feels like a perfect line to me. I wouldn't have action on it. I can tell you that much because it'd be juiced either way.
Ooh, it's 279.5 for Drew Brees. I feel like the under.
I would take the under on 279. Yeah, I was thinking in that like 260. I thought 260 would have been like the highest I probably would have thought it would go. I mean, it's a game with a solid total. It's not like we're looking at this ugly game. The Saints are projected to move the ball particularly well. They have a 27.5 implied team total of the entire weekend. That was the second highest, I believe. So their offense is projected to do well. Maybe our selling short of Drew Brees is an indication of where the market could be. Maybe there's a slight edge to playing more Saints heavy, Brees, Michael Thomas at captain Kamara lineups and just going cheap with the Bucs, especially since we do have the Saints projected to score more points. I kind of fall closer to where you do, where I'm not awfully excited to play Brees. It doesn't mean I'm going to have a lot of him. I just don't think it's easy for me to write Brees off as a not captain play. Cause I think someone like Michael Thomas, given his market share numbers and just the high end scoring of skill position players, it's so easy for me to just never play Drew Brees and captain, always look at Michael Thomas, always look at Alvin Kamara, who I also am going to have a ton of. I talked about pivoting off of him. I'm also going to have a lot of him.
Let's get up to 50 likes and I'll put my head-to-heads out there. I got swept last night. We've got just shy of 200 people watching. We just need another 20 likes. It's free money. I'm basically giving it away. I'm dropping the link here into Odds Shopper. That's oddshopper.awesemo.com. This is a very nifty site, especially for those of you that have fantasy or sports wagering in your states. Virginia, it's approved, where they're just figuring out the mechanics of all of it, but I should be able to do that myself here, hopefully in the next few months. They haven't put a timetable on it. Darn that pandemic and everything, but at least the legislation is passed. So what you can do is you can come here and so we were looking at the lines. So interestingly enough, at PointsBet, you can actually get a 245.5 over under, and it's just minus 115. So that would be more advantageous, because if you like the under, you go look at MGM, it's 279.
Jeez, that's incredible. That's one of the largest
minus 130. Yeah, it's minus 133. So you're costing yourself 10% right there of the implied value, both from a basis on if you're taking the under, you're getting the better line and paying less for it. So you definitely want to check that out, because this is you usually don't see them pop off like that much. Now, yeah. A lot of times the sports betting companies, they're doing all sorts of boosters. And if you're in the state of Colorado and you do X, if the Rockies if the Rockies score less than 100 runs, you're going to win, right? So they're do promotional bets like that. You don't find discrepancies very often on this one. The other one that I found interesting, one of the bigger differences I've seen is PointsBet and MGM. Now there's going to be the under for both of them with Patrick Mahomes getting hurt. PointsBet had Patrick Mahomes at 328.5 yards for his over-under. I don't think I've ever seen one that high.
I mean, I love Patrick Mahomes. I'm really disappointed to see him leave this game, but that's a crazy projection, a crazy median/mean projection for any individual quarterback ever.
All right, so that's out there, but that's just some of the fun things we can do. So we've got Michael Thomas. He played 2/3 of the snaps last week, but he had 7 targets. I expect that kind of to be his baseline this week. Remember, he was out on the injury reserve. But what did he only played in 4 regular season games, 3 something like that. Just was a lost season for him, but he at least can work those short and medium routes. That is basically right in the wheelhouse of Drew Brees. Tre'Quan Smith being back, I like him on DraftKings for the price at 400. I don't really like him on FanDuel. Can Brady get him the ball? Pardon me. Can Brees get him the ball? I know Brady can if he was on the same team. Can Brees get him the ball? Because he feels like a guy that, he's not just a deep threat. That's where his best work is done if he's catching it in that second level of the defense.
Yeah, it's definitely not a place where this player's skill set aligns with this player's skill set. But I don't know. I think his price is still worth probably taking shots on. I mean, I don't feel confident. We don't know if he's going to come back to this full-time number 3 role right away. We don't know even if he's on the field running routes, he's actually in the read progression, because he's he doesn't do a thing that I said it too, that Brees is really adept at doing anymore. But I think it's worth, I still think it's worth. I still think the value is there. It's more risky value proposition than when we get the backup running back that we know is going to play at 800 or whatever. It's definitely not quite that easy of a lock button, but I still think just in terms of if you're making a median projection, it looks like, you'd want to play Smith.
All right. We just need 2 more likes and I will drop my 10 $1 head-to-heads there into the DK lobby. Username is EMac. I didn't have to put numbers behind my name because I've been playing this for so long. I got there first. Let's see. And there we go. I guarantee you I will play Alvin Kamara in my captain slot. All right. So Deontay Harris, we don't really know what's going to happen. He had a nice little game last week. He's been injured for a bunch of this season as well. It just becomes now with everybody healthy. You got Emmanuel Sanders still lurking. You got little Jordan Humphreys in the mix. I keep calling him Humphreys and spelling it Humphreys. It's little Jordan Humphrey with a Y, not an IES. I was always wondering why it doesn't auto link to Pro Football Reference when I type his names, because I know I'm not spelling it right. Not even close. So you'd think the little Jordan part would be the hard part. No, it's his last name for me. Tight end, what do we want to do here? So Jared Cook, to me, it feels like he had a bad season, right?
so. I'd say I don't remember many, if any, big games from Jared Cook.
Led the team with 7 receiving touchdowns, had 500 yards. However, only 37 catches. Not exciting. When did he become like a mid-range threat? Because that's what that's telling me. 60 targets, 37 catches, 500 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That doesn't feel like a tight end set of numbers.
Yeah, so this is something interesting. They actually, since he joined the Saints team, not almost exclusively, but like a lot of what he does is just push the ball like past the sticks, essentially. He's not like this. I would think, if anything, a tight end playing with Drew Brees would have an ADOT of like 3. His ADOT is actually typically one of the highest among tight ends, both last year and this year. So he does maybe offer like an element of big play upside that most tight ends don't. But like, I think at like probably lower ownership, at slightly less price, I'd say Gronk probably offers that same amount of upside and probably more work in the red zone. So I'm not incredibly excited if I'm looking at a tight end to get to Jared Cook. I think as a value proposition, Cameron Brate at his price is better. I think upside Gronk is almost in the exact same, echelon of a player. Not going to see a ton of work, but enough that you have to consider him. I think he's almost like an identical play to Gronk. I'll take Gronk slightly cheaper, slightly less owned. I'll own him slightly more. But again, I think both these players are far enough down the target totem pole that I can't get too excited about it because they're priced as if they're like very solidly in the rotation. They're really not.
And then you got Troutman and Hill. Sorry, was that what you were just saying or not saying?
No.
Oh. I classified them as troll touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, technically we have Troutman as a good value, but that's just because like the math for a player at 200 technically adds up to a good value. Even if you get a catch for 15 yards would be a good points per dollar play for Troutman. It still makes it incredibly unlikely that he actually makes it into the optimal lineup. It's far more likely that you have to get the touchdown from him, from Brate. I mean, I guess from Josh Hill too, but I don't think that is a thing anymore. So yeah, they're troll touchdowns. And I think they're probably I think Scotty Miller is like a better place to chase a troll touchdown, or the backup running backs on the Saints would be better places to chase that random touchdown.
Okay. And then wrapping it up here with defense, I said it's similar with the Bucs. The Saints are averaging about just shy of 3 sacks per game. They have 3rd in the league with 26 takeaways. Brady was sacked 9 times in the last 4 games, just 1 interception. But as we've seen, these can pile up if a team gets down and it's crunch time and they're playing prevent defense and bringing the house and, it's just not cover 0. Mind you, because that can get you fired. But you can see like late game sacks on back-to-back plays as things really get squirrely. That's probably where we would see this from this standpoint. Wow, Browns are making this game close. A reminder, at 6:00, we're going live with NBA Live Before Lock. That will be Eric Lindquist and Josh Engelman. You'll definitely want to check that out. We're down to a 3-game slate. Philadelphia game was postponed due to health and safety protocols. And then reminder, if you missed out on the 2021 and the happy promo codes, for shame. But you can still get access to all Awesemo premium content for just $29.95 a week. That is just the regular deal out there. It's a good one. You get everything. You get player projections, you get the ownership projections, you get Slack, and much, much more. So you'll want to look at that. Same tools that were created, developed, and used by, and by the way, coming out of his models, Alex Baker, you know him better as Awesemo. These are his deals. When we see something that's a little gaff in the projections, we email him or we'd send him a note, not
send him a Slack.
Not some other person behind the scenes, like Loppy says, slapping his name on it. No, we reach out to Alex and say, hey, looks a little weird. And he always responds, thanks, man. Let me go check it out.
Just 4 letters, NICE. Nice.
Yeah, there you go. All right. That's a good way to get in here on Awesemo. And then again, we have the free projections for No House Advantage. They are the sponsor of the NFL Live Before Locks. Drop that link into chat. We actually have free NFL projections for them, probably NBA as well. And they're also doing PGA content at this time. So you'll definitely want to take a gander over there. Anybody that is terrifying you of not having enough of? For me, it's going to be Mike Evans, but it's not like I'm not going to have him. I'm probably going to match the field on the receivers for the Saints, and I'm just going to, fingers crossed, hope that I have the right combination of players around them that help it succeed from that standpoint. Otherwise, I don't have a favorite.
I kind of think maybe Brady, because like the way the passes have been distributed since Antonio Brown joined the team, is Mike Evans favored, as I said earlier, but it's not Mike Evans dominant. There is a very realistic chance that he goes out and throws for 330 yards and throws 3 touchdowns to 3 players. I will not be playing him at captain. I think the better leverage point is to hope that he throws 2 of those touchdowns / 1 of those and 100 yards to an individual receiver and play that guy. I will be having all of them and hoping I find the right one in the right combination of lineups. I'm not going to have a lot of Brady at captain because I think he's going to be owned as if there's a very high likelihood that he spreads the ball out. I would say it is likely. How likely is it? I don't know. Probably not to the extent that I think his ownership indicates that. So you won't see me with Tom Brady captain lineups, and I'm afraid that he has a very decent chance that he spreads it out or runs a touchdown in. Sneaks one innings. He has a handful of quarterback sneak touchdowns. So any of those outcomes, and I'm kind of drawing dead. Otherwise, I'll have a lot of skill position players, so I can't be too afraid of anyone.
All right. And then let's see, kind of running through here, final points. So it sounds like neither one of us are really going. I agree with you. I think a full fade of Breeze in the captain spot, probably prudent.
Yeah, that's
at this point. Tom Brady is coming in at 15%. I'm on the fence on that one. I think I'll go half. I don't want to have none, but all it's going to take is one of his guys to get 2 touchdowns and he'll be the captain.
Yep.
What is the likelihood of that happening? Well, it's hard to tell, but it could be any one of those. So that's now, 3 or 4 guys that could beat him out potentially. If it's spread around, as Kyle said, then it's going to be Brady, right? I just don't think Breeze can get there without Kamara or Thomas. So that just negates. I'll play Breeze in the flex. I have no issues with that, but I don't really want to allocate a captain to him. Looks like we're coming in at about 6, 7, 8% on DK for the 3 receivers for Tampa Bay at captain. Feels about right. Maybe I'll try to come in a little higher on that, about 1% for the kickers. Nothing too crazy in here. Emmanuel Sanders, 4% captain. He's the guy that you would think would fit with Breeze, right? Kind of now he's a possession receiver sort. He doesn't rack. It's when you have Michael Thomas, how
that's the problem. Exactly. Yeah. Is that like,
let me answer my own stupid question.
Yeah. And you answer it with the same answer I would have given you, because it's like, I don't think if his specialty used to be that he was shifty fast, could get downfield and get open, which I think he had a lot of specialties. He was really good. He probably doesn't have as much of that anymore. So really you would look at him as, like you said, he's probably a guy who, although he can go downfield, you'd want to get the ball to him first, short to intermediate, and then have him work downfield after that with the ball in his hands. That's just what Michael Thomas does. And he does it better than any other player in the NFL almost. So his target ceiling just seems so capped. I think it's fine to have him a decent amount in the flex. You can even play him in captain. If he goes out and catches one long one, goes for a touchdown, he will make for a very viable captain. That's very possible. He's not going to be owned as if that's the case. So in large field tournaments, I actually think it makes a decent amount of sense. But like you said, 4 or 5%. If you're playing a 20 lineups, maybe throw one in and you can probably play a little chalkier in the rest of that lineup. Other than that, I probably won't have much exposure to him because I'm just trying to scoop a lot of single entry stuff.
All right. And then they're asking, is Lamar? Yeah, Lamar Murray's out. Taysom Hill's out. Ronald Jones is active. Those are the key things. And Keyshawn Vaughn is inactive. Just looking here. Oh, I want to go watch the end of this game. All right. Any questions that you guys have? We got 5 more minutes here. We'll put them in there. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. I know there's a lot of other competing things going on right now. 200 of you watching. Mucho apreciado. Again, I put in my DK $1 head-to-heads out there for the Showdown slate. I'm guaranteeing I'm playing Alvin Kamara, a captain. Use that information as you will. I got swept last night. Scored 37 points. Yikes. That was not good. So there's your chance. Team free money back in action. So ranking. Let's rank them real quick. Kamara 1, Thomas 2. Tell me when you start to get different here. Thomas 2, Tom Brady 3, Drew Brees for the kickers, because we got to have some salary relief. Coin flip of Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin. Traquan Smith, DraftKings only.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette. I'm not excited about him, but that feels about right. Emmanuel Sanders. Jared Cook. Ronald Jones. Then we get to Ronald Jones. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We get to Mike Evans. That was the name you were waiting to hear from me. I have him ranked 11th.
Yeah, I'd put him higher than that from like a tournament perspective. I think it's like a high risk proposition. I think if you're just looking for like the optimal lineup, he probably doesn't end up. Really, there's no way he ends up in it, just given his like price and only modest volume advantage over his teammates. So from that type of perspective, sure, I don't think you'd be super interested in him. But I think from an ownership versus ceiling perspective, I'm going to have probably over the field on Mike Evans, whether it be at flex or at captain. I like the Saints as captains, especially because I think Drew Brees is going to soak up unnecessary Saints captain ownership. We talked about it. I won't belabor it, but if Drew Brees goes off, there's a very good chance Michael Thomas goes off. So if you rule out Drew Brees and just play Michael Thomas, I think you're still able to build leverage through that. So I like the Saints. And then, as you said, it's Alvin Kamara very easily. Then Michael Thomas probably number 2 pretty easily. And then you can finally work your way into some of the Bucs players. Any interest in the Saints backup running backs? Like, I mean, I don't have a ton of interest, but they literally do project as like some of the best values you will ever find, because guys at 200 who could go out and get 5 carries and a target are hard to find.
I didn't even put them in my player list. And I didn't even list them as the don't play these guys. Last question. Jameis Winston.
No.
Troll no. Game of troll games.
No, if you're really that concerned about Jameis Winston, just like watch the game and be ready to scoop up some like second half showdown slate. If that's really your biggest concern, just like if he comes out for 2 drives in the second quarter, go ahead and play him in the second half showdown slate, but wait till we find out before you just go doing that. Because the odds of him actually getting in, throwing enough touchdowns to pay off his price because they price up backup quarterbacks, it seems slim.
All right, so you guys, we got the NBA show coming up. Again, we're now down to a 3-game slate. We also have everything starting again tomorrow. We'll have the NBA strategy show in the morning, probably around 10 a.m. We will have PGA first look at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock to get the NHL strategy show, which, by the way, NHL is back. I am enjoying it. It's been my nice little profit maker the last few seasons. I've literally played every day since the playoffs 2 years ago. So I like it. I really enjoy asking questions in our premium Slack, and everybody is very helpful with answering things. Plus the tools here are phenomenal. I like how we rank the lines. You don't have to worry about player names quite as much. And for me, it was just learning a whole new set of names that I never hear because I don't really watch a lot of hockey. I mean, I watch the Capitals every now and then because they're, my favorite team. Thank God Ovechkin is still on the team because he's been here since I moved here. But he's really the only player I know very well in the league. But I've been managing to be profitable in this. A nice little side endeavor here. So just saying, we've got some really good stuff out here for NHL. Definitely want to tune into that show if you have the chance. And then tomorrow, 5:30, going with the deeper dive. We've got, I think it must be a 7:30 lock tomorrow. Let's double check that. Monday, January 18th. Oh, we have early NBA too. That's what I bet we'll have an early NBA strategy show to account for the game starting at noon. So we've got noon, 2:33, 3, and 5 for the earlier slates. So that's definitely something that you want to look at. We'll have content out for that. And then there is a 4-game main slate. And these games, almost all of these games will be televised between NBA TV and TNT for MLK Day. So with that, gamers, we're going to get on out of here. You can follow Kyle on Twitter at Kyle Tweets Here. Follow the main Awesemo account. Check out that pinned tweet for the contest on how you can win 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. That's at Awesemo_COM. I am at EMac DFS. For producer Jordan Klein, it's pizza time. With that, gamers, good luck.